Welcome to an impromptu edition of Almost Live. I'm your host, Aphrodite. Impromptus are things I've posted in written form that I think would benefit from being spoken by me. I posted this approximately 6 hours before recording this particular impromptu. Life gets in the way. And I thought you should hear this message, particularly since in 12 hours, give or take, voting begins in the U.S. midterm elections, at least on election day. My political adversaries seem to be good at coining phrase, but it's time for someone on my side to shift that one of these days. Well, there's a term I've heard bandied about, free speech absolutist, which somehow doesn't roll right on my tongue. They don't actually want free speech if it criticizes their bunghole views, more so if the critic uses a nim or is from the news. And I see these sad criers and it hits me. They are hashtag liberty deniers. They deny the obverse of a right, the responsibility needed for the right to be used for the good of society, but instead they ceded that all they want to do is throw bombs and grenades and care not about who gets hurt by those escapades. Liberty deniers want to blow it all up for the lulz, but really, they want to be kings after society falls. For they think the man atop the burning ash heap is better than they themselves under society's rules that, quote, forced, unquote, them to be meek. Never mind, not a one would be breathing today if that society they curse didn't make them okay after illness or injury, ignore the safety of foods they eat, or build infra to ensure in winter they have safe heat. Liberty deniers couch their intent with calls to tradition and a mythologized past. But if you know your echo, you know where that path approaches shockingly fast. Call them out with their true name, not the one on their ID. They're liberty deniers all, at least to me. This was inspired by a few things. Obviously, based on the fact that I'm recording this on the 7th of November, after a few particularly loud incidents involving social media. You can obviously guess the main one. I don't like mentioning that person's name. But there were a couple smaller incidents that I saw that spurred me just the same. I remember seeing someone mention a profile of a person who spewed a lot of hate. And it said anti-harassment zone on their profile bio. As if it was some kind of a magic incantation that allowed them to spew vileness and not face the consequences of that obscenity. And the second thing that came up when I was looking through what happened on Twitter, again, I'm winding my personal presence down, but the shows will still be there because marketing, meh. Someone apparently engaged in some severe misogynoir. If you don't know that word, I'll break it down. Wow means black. Gyn, jin means woman. Miso is hate. It's as far as I'm going to go in describing that term. This person claimed they were under the influence when they said these obscene and horrific things that will never leave my mouth as long as I'm alive. But they tried to say that they were being threatened and that their God forgive them, and it came to me for a second. This is a liberty denier. They denied that person the liberty to simply be because they claimed to be high or drunk, but that doesn't matter. As someone who themselves has engaged in some substance use, controlled, safe, sane, and observed, I've never done anything nearly as profane as that kind of a deed when I wasn't entirely myself. And it sounds to me in part that they try and use their choice of deity as a scapegoat, as a way to absolve themselves without having to pay the actual price of a penance, which doesn't make sense to me. But like I said, I have autism. Maybe I'm not supposed to get it, but that's just how I see it. And that's how it sounds like they meant it. Impromptus will come up every so often, randomly on the feed. The podcast itself is scheduled to come out every 3 days. This adds a little spice and variety to what's out there. But most importantly, unlike some places or podcasts or programs that make you pay an extra fee, every Impromptu is added in the feed for free. If you'd like to help this keep going, I have a Ko-Fi and a Patreon. At least the Patreon's in progress. The Ko-Fi is up. A tip, a tea. If you want a tarot story, I can do that too. Bad Idea Saturday funding. I'll listen to what you say if you're willing to pay the costs needed to make it happen. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you have a very good day. If you're in the United States and are eligible to do so, and have not done so, I just want to remind you to please vote on November 8th, 2022. Thank you.